Hey folks, Jesse here from Onion Grass Food Forest, and today we're going to be doing a follow-up video on the progress of my edible seed guild. So let's get to it. This edible seed guild is part of my food forest, and the goal of that food forest is to provide food for me and my family while doing so in a way that works with nature instead of against it. So I'm not using sprays and chemicals. Instead, I'm using permaculture design in order to create a thriving ecosystem that different plants are working together. So when I talk about this edible seed guild, in the previous video, I lost some viewers when I started talking about the flowers and other perennials that were in that guild that weren't seeds. And that was on me for not explaining myself really well. So let's take a look at that for a minute. So I have some established plants in this guild, like this canna behind me. This canna does not provide edible seeds, but is an important part of this guild. It has a root layer. I can use the leaves as chop and drop, and the flowers attract a lot of beneficial insects and hummingbirds. So every part of the food forest has a purpose within the ecosystem I'm trying to create. And some of those might be ground cover, some of those might be food production, some of those might be chop and drop and pollinator attractors. So there are some established pieces of this guild that are not seed related. The seed part of this guild is the annuals. So with my established perennials like the canna, like my fruit trees, I have a blueberry bush in here. Right now, those plants are small. This is actually a relatively small canna. This canna will spread, and if I let it continue to spread, it can get 5-10 feet across. So I've spaced the plants that are perennials apart appropriately. Well, while those plants are spaced apart like that, there's empty space in between. And why not make that space productive? Instead of waiting 5-10 years for those to fill in, why don't we make it productive with food? And that's where the edible seed guild comes into play. A lot of our edible seeds are annuals. Things like sesame seeds, also dill, cilantro. Those are all annual plants that will reseed themselves, but will not come back year after year as the same plant. And so those are the plants that we're going to plant in between here, and that I have planted in between here, in order to fill those gaps. So let's take a look at what's been planted. The area we're going to be looking at today is from this nectarine over to the trellis, and this is the beginnings of an established guild, but this year I thought for the annuals I would put in some edible seeds. So we're going to take a look at that. This nectarine guild here contains gooseberries and perennial kale, some yarrow, etc. But to fill the space between here and there, I've also got not only some established things, but some annuals. So we're going to take a look at those. First here we have the peanuts, and these are doing super well. And not only that, they are blossoming, folks. And look at these. Aren't those just precious? Little yellow blossoms. So I planted 17 peanuts in this area. I think 3 of them got dug up by squirrels. So I ended up with 14 sprouts, and the plants seem to be doing well. They've got a buddy on them right now. And moving along over here, this is a patch of sesame seeds. And I purposefully did not look up what the blossoms looked like before when they started to bloom. And look at these little guys. They kind of look like little fuzzy foxgloves. They've got a slight pink or purple hue to them. Some of them are almost completely white. Some of them are a little more of that pink and purple. But aren't those just gorgeous? I was not expecting to love sesame seed flowers. And I planted in this area here both white, gold, and kind of a light brown sesame seed, and they're all just mixed together. I don't know which one's which, but we're gonna see what happens. In this area is a little more of the established stuff. I have hidden deep below here a sea buckthorn that I started from seed. It's just a little thing, hopefully won't get completely swamped out. And a volunteer watermelon from a watermelon I accidentally stepped on last year because it was hidden in the grass. Our grass had gotten long. And then some zinnias that are just starting to bloom next to an apple tree that is really suffering this year. This guy has been eaten up by all kinds of pests. I didn't think this would survive, honestly, as long as this year, and it's struggling again this year, so it probably isn't going to make it in the long run, but we're going to give it a chance and see what happens. But moving along to more edible seeds, I've got here a little patch of flax. This is the best patch that came up. I love the little sort of wispy plants with the delicate blossoms that these guys have. These are really nice. The intention here is to grow this for maybe making some homemade breads. But this year has been a really big challenge getting things to sprout from seed. So those were planted in ground from seed. June, we either had drought or dumping rainfall, and that really affected how successfully I was able to start things from seed. And this is a perfect example. So we have flax to the left that was really hard to establish. And then there's amaranth. And you might say, Jess, those are lovely amaranth, right? I've got some decent sized plants here. But what you have to understand is that in this section here, I probably sowed 100 seeds. And same with the 2 sunflowers you can see right here. I probably sowed 20. And so the germination rate was not great. I've got some little guys down in here trying to make a go, and a few over here as well. But I was really expecting more from the amaranth and the sunflowers, and you can see they're surrounding a blueberry that just is small still, and we're waiting for it to fill out the space. So in the meantime, we're doing the edible seeds. Coming around to my canna, the most gorgeous flower in this whole place. Beneath it, I also sowed a whole bunch of flax, and I got maybe 3 plants here. So again, it was a really poor sort of germination rate. Coming to the end, it's mostly stuff that's already been established, plus a few cosmos. I do, however, have cilantro that's gone to flower, and an earlier patch here that's going to seed. So once these go completely dry, I'll harvest these and we will grind them up for seed. And I've also got a patch of cayenne peppers here, and they're starting to flower. So again, edible seeds in the case of red pepper flakes and seeds. So I had planted dill, and dill has been remarkably hard to establish this year. I have not had dill sprout successfully at all, and I've planted it maybe 5 times. And in previous years, I've been able to plant it once and had huge results. So this just isn't the year for dill. But overall, I would have to say, and you can see there are some onions there. You can also use onion seeds as a spice. But we've got peanuts, sesame seeds, flax, amaranth, sunflower, cilantro, and peppers for our edible seed guild. My motivation behind creating this edible seed guild was in part because of the direction that our household is taking nutritionally and with the way we cook. So I've been taking an interest in baking more of our own breads and having seeds like sesame seeds and flax and peanuts even fall into that baking category of what we want to be eating and baking and cooking. The spices as well. I want to be able to grow my own spices. And we're a very big cilantro household. We love eating fresh cilantro, but we also love collecting the seeds and grinding them up as coriander. So we use coriander a lot in our cooking. And so it made sense for my household to start growing these things myself within the food forest. And that's one of the things I love about food forests. The great thing about them is that you can make them what you want them to be. You can build them to suit your household and the way you eat and your family's needs. So my food forest isn't going to look like anybody else's food forest, because I'm growing for us and I'm designing this not only with the pollinators in mind and native plants in mind, but also with my family in mind and how we live and how we eat. Hey, if you've made it this far in the video, first of all, thank you, you're awesome. But second of all, maybe if you want to help support this channel and see more of these types of videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the notifications button so you know when new videos are coming up. And then we get to visit all the time. That'd be cool. Look at this little bumblebee here in the sesame seeds. We've got a storm on the way. I think this little guy's hiding. I think he's just chilling until the storm passes. He's not gathering anything. Just chilling in the flower.